There we are. So we are live now, and I'm talking with Charles Santino. Did I say that right?
You did.
Great. And we're talking about his latest comic book. Do you want to tell us a bit about your character and what inspired you for this
Sure.
story?
Yeah. Rammur is a master thief in a future police state, and that might be the shortest elevator pitch in entertainment. Simple to understand, 7 words. What inspired me was I liked crime stories, heist stories, caper stories, and I like stories that are told from the point of view of a criminal. In this case, he's a thief. He's got 2 things on his mind, pretty much: money and women, in that order, because he figures that the money will get you the women, and it very rarely works the other way around. So he's pretty straightforward character. It's in a future police state, which makes it even tougher to be a thief, let alone a master thief.
That's cool. So, how long have you been doing comics for?
35 years. That would be 3.5 decades. Mid to late 80s, starting out with Marvel, Conan, which was a humor magazine that they had at the time, a humor comic book, and Savage Tales Volume 2, which was their He-Man anthology. It didn't have Conan in it. It had stories that I think were probably inspired by the success of Indiana Jones at the time, the Raiders of the Lost Ark movie. And that magazine didn't last very long. It was a black and white magazine, and my story in there was the last story in the last issue, number 8.
So, do you have a favorite one that you've worked on? Do you like?
I think probably Rammur, simply because it's the first thing that I've done where I've been 100% completely in control of the property and what I'm doing. My publisher, Marcosia, based in the UK, they're completely hands-off. This is my 3rd project with them, and it's going pretty well. Now, when I say that it's completely mine, I do have co-creators. The artist, Paulo Perez, I count as a co-creator. He came up with the final current look of Rammur, but he actually was using designs by 2 previous artists who worked on the character: Joe Staten, who goes back to the early 70s, and Andrew Wendell, who did a bunch of work for Valiant in the 90s. They did work on the design of this character. I count them as co-creators. Paulo, though, was the guy that brought it to the finish line visually.
That's pretty cool. You've I know from hearing stories that working for Marvel and DC, there's like a lot of like restrictions in what you can write.
Well, first you're working with their characters, and you're working within a framework. You're working within a genre. The comics code, I never really thought much about the comics code. I had no interest in doing any kind of Conan story that might have violated the comics code. So the basic limitation is that you're working, as the saying goes, in their sandbox. And I have done other creator-owned projects, but they have generally been with creators who had an equal say in what was going on. With Rammur, this is completely my baby. I'm the boss. I'm the driver, and the artists are getting co-creating credit if they did co-create it, and certainly getting a lot of play from me, because Paulo Perez is absolutely fantastic. You can see that little picture of Rammur in back of me. That's his cover. The design of the cover was a cover I designed. The typography is partially from my letterer, partially from the guy who did the logo design. But That's Paulo's pretty impressive Rammur picture on the cover.
Yeah, I read a couple of the things that you sent me. I found that it was really, really interesting, and like it's not like what the same things that you see. Like I find that nowadays everything is like a remake of a remake, no original ideas. Like I remember back in the day, you go to a movie and you're like, wow, that was like amazing. Like the old Rambo movies, all the macho characters, and like the old Clint Eastwood movies, like how he take down the bad guy, Dirty Harry. It kind of reminded me that and the heist movies, which I thought was pretty cool. Like it's like everything all wrapped into one.
Well, yeah, thank you. Nothing comes from nothing. There's a great video. I think it's a TED Talk video called "Nothing is a Everything is a Remix," and it shows that everything came from something else. It shows all the influences that George Lucas appropriated for Star Wars. And, Rammur certainly comes out of a He-Man tradition, out of a heist story tradition. But I wanted to put enough of a spin on it that it would have that originality. It's certainly not something you can reduce to, well, it's like Star Wars meets the Lord of the Rings, or it's like this meets that. No, it's not really like anything meeting anything. Although, it's pretty easy to take a look at some of the influences. I kind of look at Rammur as a Judge Dredd style perp. There have been a few other people who have seen the influence of Judge Dredd in 2000 AD on this, although my take is very different. The style of art comes from the DC animated books of the 90s, the Batman, and to a lesser extent, Superman and other characters, mostly the Batman comics that were based on the animated series. There's a little bit of Magnus robot fighter thrown in there. Rammur is probably going to be fighting a robot or two in every story. And there's a little-known Conan type of character called Kane by Carl Edward Wagner. And Rammur's personality is not dissimilar to Carl Edward Wagner's Kane character. Same kind of single-minded tough guy. So, yeah, Rammur, I think, is very original in its execution, but it comes from a rich background of tough guys and heist stories.
So, what inspired you to get into this field?
Well, when I was a youngin', loved to play baseball, and was in Little League, and when puberty started hitting, and that really separated the real athletes from the wannabes, and I realized that probably 12 or 13, I was probably not going to pitch for the Yankees. That was probably not going to happen. And I love reading comics, and I thought, I think I might be able to do this. I think that's what inspired me.
And what was your favorite comic growing up?
The comic that really got me going was Marvel did a reprint series in the mid-'60s called Marvel Collector's Item Classics. And the first one I bought reprinted Fantastic Four #2 and Spider-Man #3. And that completely hooked me. I was completely addicted right out of the get-go.
Yeah, I've reread some of the old issues, because you can get like the big thick ones now.
Yep.
And it has all of them in it. It's just so amazing. You look at it now and you're like, oh my God, some of these things, it's almost like they're predicting the future almost.
Yeah, there was especially Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby was very, very forward thinking. One of the things I definitely want to mention is my publisher, Marcosia. This is my third project with them. and they are publishing Rammur #1. They have published Rammur #1 on Comixology and Drive-Thru Comics as a digital comic. Eventually, there'll be a collection, probably 1, 2, and 3, in trade paperback and also digital on Amazon. Right now, this is on Comixology and Drive-Thru Comics. There will be material that is in the first 3 issues that will not make it to the collection, so you got to have the individual issues. The collection will probably have some stuff that's not in the individual issues, so you got to have that, even if you have the first 3 issues. But they were graciously allowed me to crowdfund and eventually print the first issue as a floppy, so-called floppy, and this will be newsprint. Pretty amazing for them to do that. They figured it would be great publicity for the digital and for the eventual collection. But that's the reason this crowdfunding is happening, and that's the reason that Rammur will be printed very soon at the end of the campaign, because my publisher in the UK, Marcosia, allowed me to do this. And Harry Marcos has been a great friend and a great publisher, and he gets about 100 submissions a month, and I'm 3 for 3 with him. He says he picks maybe 1 out of the 100 submissions he gets each month, and I'm 3 for 3, which means I beat out 297 other projects. So I'm very grateful for Harry Marcos recognizing I think what what I'm doing here with my work, especially with Rammur.
Yeah, and what I like is the old newsprint. Like, it's like very reminiscent of the old days when you got your comic book.
Yeah, it's what a comic book is supposed to look and feel and smell like. Rammur is also old school in that these are all self-contained stories. The first issue has a 24-page lead story, a 6-page backup story about Rammur, and 2 stories called Tops, Tales of the Police State. And these are funky little depressing vignettes about life in the future police state. So they're all short and self-contained. And there's 10 pages of bonus art and the making of. And the future issues will also be self-contained stories. There's no origin. There's no background. We just jump right in. He simply is. It's very straightforward.
Yeah, I kind of like that, because it doesn't matter which issue you have, you can always jump into it.
Yeah, you're not going to be lost no matter where you jump in. You're not going to be lost. The first issue is a typical heist story. Rammur has been hired to rob a museum, and that doesn't go too well. And he finds out that he's been ratted out by somebody to the police, and they're on his trail. He's got to figure out who ratted him out, take care of that, make sure he doesn't get caught by the robot cops, because if he does, he's going to be thrown into a labor camp. The future is run by the GFA, the Global Freedom Authority. They run the planet, and they are all pervasive. Dominatra, otherwise known as Dami, is the matriarch. She may or may not be a real person, but her image is everywhere. We see her statues. We see her on propaganda posters. She's even on the currency. So it's a future police state, a master thief who's trying to make a living, and therein lies his difficulties.
So, what inspired you to make the element of the police state in your story?
I thought it would be interesting. It solved a lot of narrative problems, which is okay. In the future, so what is it like in this country? What is it like in that country? What is the future like? Well, if you've got one global freedom authority running everything, that solves a lot of problems for you in terms of the complexity of what takes place in the future. I thought it would make it very interesting for a thief to try to make a living in a police state. And it's tough enough being a thief in a normal society.
Well, I guess a master thief can do pretty much anything, right?
Well, it's not easy, as you see when you read the stories.
Yeah. And how many issues do you think you're going to be making through this?
I hope to have a good long run with this. The second issue is pretty much done. Paulo has started drawing the third issue, and I've started writing the fourth issue. So I do plan on making a go of this. I think it's a very strong concept. I think it's a very strong character, and it seems to be catching on little by little.
Yeah,
I do want to mention one other aspect of this future. I wanted a kind of clean look. I don't like the idea necessarily of a post-apocalyptic world. This is not a post-apocalyptic world, although it's the future. And I thought, how do I do this? How do I make the future nice looking? And yet it's a police state. And Rammur's got some interesting gear. He's got a ram scoop, hence his name, on his chest. This sucks in hydrogen atoms from the atmosphere, and he's got a compact fusion reactor on his back, and that converts the hydrogen into clean energy, which then powers his wrist blasters and his leg jets. So that tells you that in this future society, they have solved the problem of cheap energy through hydrogen. And they've been talking about fusion energy for decades. Fission energy is what a nuclear reactor does. That creates a lot of energy, but it's not as efficient as fusion. In fission, you're breaking apart atoms and you're creating radioactive waste. With fusion, you're fusing atoms together, releasing an incredible amount of energy, and the only byproducts are the energy itself and water. So in a society that has mastered this incredibly cheap, efficient method of energy, you've got a great economy, because energy is so cheap that you can keep an entire society under your boot heel, and still everybody is poverty is not completely eliminated, but the average person has a pretty good life in terms of creature comforts. There's no freedom, but they probably have a roof over their head and food on their table and a job to go to, which has been dictated by the GFA. So I've tried to create a future that is simple to understand, fun to look at, and difficult for a master thief to make a living in.
That sounds very interesting. Like it's new. Like I said, like everything is there's not very much originality. Like, I mean, how many times has there been a Spider-Man or Batman redone? You know?
Yeah, no, and it's not just a matter of originality. Hopefully, it does have originality, but it's also a matter of simplicity. Some of the pitches I see for some of the comics I see out there, I can't even understand them, and I'm not even sure the creators understand their own project when I hear them pitching them. And so I decided I needed something to cut through the noise. I needed something so simple that you could grasp the concept in 7 words. Now, you might decide that's not for me, but that's great, because you can then move on. And if it does grab you, you're gonna know it in about 4.5 seconds.
It's like my teacher always said, "Keep it simple, stupid."
And it's not easy to do, because it's a lot easier to be complex than it is simple. When I write a story, I get a nugget of an idea and I boil it down to literally 25 words, a 25-word summary of the story. And until that summary sounds so compelling and so good that I have to write that story, I don't start. So, because I know if it doesn't sound good boiled down to 25 words, then it's not going to sound good expanded to 50 pages. So simplicity is very important to me.
When
Very important.
And when is your campaign ending?
You're breaking up there a little
viewers. Bit. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I missed the last 30 seconds or so.
Yep. Can you hear me okay now?
Now you're fine.
Okay. It happens from time to time. There's a glitch on these things.
Yeah.
So when is your campaign ending?
That would be, boy, it's really soon. Let's go take a look. I think it's 4 days. It is 2 days. Wow. Okay. So we've got I don't know if that even counts today. So maybe Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, it's probably Saturday and Sunday. That's it. 4th of July weekend is going to be it. It was a 60-day campaign.
So anyone watching, make sure to
Yeah, and if you go to Indiegogo and type in Rammur, Rammur, you will see the campaign and the perks. The perks are extremely simple, just like the comic. There's only 4 options. The comic, 48 pages, signed by me.
The comic, bring that up now.
Yeah,
I can bring that up if you like.
Sure, comic plus original art, comic plus propaganda poster, or comic and both of those things. That's it. No alternate covers, although there is an alternate cover inside the issue, but not on the issue. I don't know if you know who Phil Russert is, but he just did a comic with 19 alternate covers. I don't have the energy. I don't have the energy to administrate that, to try to keep track of that. And the video was done by Marco Perugini. He's my backup artist for the Rammur backup story.
Gold guys. Yep. Oh, I think you're back. You're back. So I'm gonna put the bits in the description of the video. So please make sure to support this campaign. This is a really great original project. So that will bring you straight to the campaign. Is there anything that you want to tell our viewers before we end?
Yeah, there's probably some important things to mention. The book is done. 48 pages plus color covers. It's completely done. You definitely want to check out the video. The video put together by Marco Perugini is absolutely spectacular. He took the art I gave him from Paulo Perez and the music that I rented, and just did an amazing job with a little bit of animation in it even. So yeah, check that out. A little bit left to the campaign, and if you're not afraid of a little bit of testosterone, then Rammur might be for you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on, Charles.
Thank you for having me on.
We can have you again for your next.
Keep in touch. Keep in touch.
I think you're cutting up. Oh,
you're frozen right now. Oh, now you just moved a little bit. There you are. You're back. It's the vagaries of StreamYard. Looks like he's disappeared. Looks like I'm your host now. More time to pitch Rammur on Indiegogo. Rammur. Not ER or AR or any other vowel. Looks like he's coming back. Well, while we wait. Oh, okay. He's back.
Yeah, sorry, this doesn't happen very often.
It's okay. I became the host there for a minute.
Yep. It happens from time to time with technology.
That's okay. It's the vagaries of StreamYard.
I like to call it like the double-edged sword because it's usually more efficient. You end up getting all these problems, all these weird. Probably could have been solved easier if you did it manually.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit.
Okay. Well, thanks for.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for coming on the show. We hope to have you on again when you do your second issue.
Thanks a lot.
And no problem. Hope you have a great evening. Good morning or afternoon, wherever you are.
Yep. East Coast time. Thanks a lot.
This is 8-Bit.
Take care.
We'll be signing up. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.